So welcome all students. Today we have this lecture of computer as data analysis tools in preclinical development. Preclinical डेव्हलपमेंटचा अर्थ असा होतो की क्लिनिकलच्या आधीचं डेव्हलपमेंट नवीन ड्रग जो कुठले आपण फाइंड आउट करतो तर त्या ड्रग्सचं जे डेव्हलपमेंट आहे तर हे डेव्हलपमेंट आधी इन्व्हेस्टिगेशन मध्ये असतं आणि नंतर मग एकदा क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स वगैरे सुरू करायची वेळ आली की त्याला आपण म्हणतो प्रीक्लिनिकल डेव्हलपमेंट. याच्यामध्ये कम्प्युटर्स कसे यूज होतात, कसे ऍप्लिकेशन्स आहेत ते आपण पाहणार आहोत. सो इफ यू सी द आउटलाईन ऑफ दिस चॅप्टर, so this outline it contains role of computers in preclinical development, then chromatographic data systems, laboratory information management systems and text information management systems. So this is part 1. या part 1 मध्ये आपण काय करणार आहोत तर आपण पहिले दोन भाग बघणार आहोत, रोल ऑफ कम्प्युटर्स इन प्रीक्लिनिकल डेव्हलपमेंट आणि क्रोमॅटोग्राफिक डेटा सिस्टम्स. तर या चॅप्टर मध्ये लर्निंग आउटकम काय आहेत तर माय स्टुडंट शुड बी एबल टू अंडरस्टँड द रेंज अँड कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी of preclinical development of drugs. Then he should be able to explain different types of chromatography and how computer interfacing helps to analyze the chromatographic data. Thirdly, he should be able to explain how computer systems data integrity is necessary in CDS as per 21 CFR Part 11. He should understand range and scope of activities performed by the Laboratory Information Management System LIMS and types of different LIMS. Similarly, he should be able to explain the concept of TMS, that is text management system, and its application in managing the laboratory textbooks. So if you see this preclinical development of a drug, we can roughly classify this as in the 5 different steps. First is the preclinical, where we perform pre-formulation, synthesis, toxicology, then initial formulation, etc. Then the drug enters into investigational new drug application, where the approval is given for strictly for the purpose of testing and strictly for the purpose of clinical trials. Then in the clinical phase, different other developments are done, which is followed by the NDA, that is new drug application level. And once your new drug application is passed, then you can send your drug in the market phase, where you can perform production risk mitigation, counterfeit analysis, contamination IDs, so many activities are there. So what is chromatography? Chromatography, the story starts with the experiment that is performed by Michael Twaset. So here what he did was he actually added a extract of plant into a column which contained calcium carbonate, and then he started putting some solvent over the mixture. So what happened was, this mixture, as it passed through the column, the colors in the plant mixture, that is the pigments in the plant mixture, they got separated, and that was the generation of the chromatograph. So different types of chromatographies are used, as we can see here. There is a plate, that is this particular type of chromatography, it is called as the thin layer chromatography or TLC. So here what we do is we coat this plate with silica gel, and silica gel is the stationary phase. Here you can see the structure of silica gel at the bottom, and this silica gel, it acts as a stationary phase. So what we do is we draw a line with a pencil, and at the center of the line we spot our mixture which we want to separate, and then we put this particular plate into a beaker that contains a shallow level of the solvent, and we then close up this beaker with a watch glass so that the solvent vapors or the volatile solvent from this solvent mixture, they should not get away. Now what happens is, because of capillary forces, this solvent starts wetting the TLC plate, and then it starts rising into the TLC plate. So as it rises into the TLC plate, it also takes the mixture along with it, the mixture, sample mixture that we had plotted there. So that mixture is sent along with the mobile phase. So what happens is, different components of the mixture, they behave differently under these circumstances. So you can see that here what has happened is, the red component, it was not very much ready to move with the mobile phase, so it has remained behind. And if you see this blue component, it has readily gone with the mobile phase. Why this is happening? This is happening because different components have got different affinities towards stationary phase and mobile phase. So red component here, it was having more affinity towards the stationary phase, and the blue component, it was having the red component was having more affinity towards the stationary phase, and the blue component is having more affinity towards the mobile phase. So what happens is the blue component goes more with the mobile phase, and the red component goes more with the stationary phase. So this is how we can separate different components in a mixture. So here we can see a column chromatography of three different colors. So what is happening is we have got mixture of three colors: yellow, red, and blue. And what we have done is we have loaded this black sample over a column which is containing some sort of stationary phase, and then we start eluting it with a solvent. So what happens is, because of the difference in the affinities of these three different colors with stationary phase and mobile phase, you can see that first the yellow color has come out of the column, then the red color has come out of the column, and finally the blue color has come out of the column. So this way we can effect different separations using column chromatography. So what is HPLC? HPLC is basically, if you go for the long form of HPLC, it is high performance liquid chromatography. So this is basically again what we are performing here in the column chromatography, but what we are doing here is we are using a finer particle size of the stationary phase, and we are using very high pressures. So around the pressure of 4 to 5 ton pressure is used, and that's why it is also called as high pressure liquid chromatography or high performance liquid chromatography. So here what happens, the mobile phase reservoir, the solvent mobile phase is kept, it is pumped up using a pump into the HPLC column. So along the line you can inject your sample, and in the HPLC column the separation occurs, and the separated components one by one they hit the detector. Then what the detector does is detector detects the compounds, and then the components go into waste type of the waste container. So what happens is, as the detector detects one by one component, it sends the signal to the computer. So this computer data station, it draws the chromatograph based on the what data it is receiving. So here you can see it's the same separation performed in a HPLC column. So at time 0 we have loaded a sample, that is the black band you can see here, and after 10 minutes when the mobile phase is flowing, what you can see is the three colors are separated. Now you might have been wondering why these three colors are not in the same order. That is because this is something called as a reverse phase chromatography, and the earlier one was the normal phase chromatography. So this will be a sort of homework for you to understand the difference between normal phase chromatography and reverse phase chromatography. So here we can separate the components and we can draw the chromatogram. So as you can see, the spot is more intense at the center and it is less intense at the sides. So because of that, what happens is the detector signal is at the baseline on the sides, whereas it is at the peak is formed at the center. Now we should understand what is 21 CFR Part 11. Now, whenever we are doing preclinical development of the drug, we are testing the drugs on animals and humans. And whenever we want to analyze the drug from animals or humans, so it is usually in the plasma or blood. So in the plasma, apart from drug, there are many components like plasma proteins, etc. And again, you can see that when the drug enters plasma, it is metabolized, and now the plasma contains our drug plus metabolites. So we need to separate our drug from its metabolites as well as from the other plasma proteins, and then only we can have the accurate estimate of how much drug is present in our system. So here the 21 CFR, it stands for Code of Federal Regulations. So this Code of Federal Regulations, it is basically the law of the United States of America. So this 21 CFR Part 11 is all about the electronic signatures and online data integrity. So whatever data is in the computers, now you must have seen that all the HPLC systems are connected to computers. So it should not be that anybody should be able to play with the data in the computers which are connected to the HPLC systems. So these things are governed by the law called as 21 CFR Part 11. So here the requirement is that all the data collected in preclinical phase and then in production phase, they must have a chain of authority, chain of custody is required, and apart from that, audit trail is also required. So here you can see an example. So here there is a company in which there are three managers. There one is QC manager, that is quality control manager. Second is QA manager, and third is production manager. And under the QC manager, three people are working: chemist A, chemist B, and chemist C. Now, chemist A is qualified to perform the assays of paracetamol tablet IP, chloroquine tablet IP, and ezetimibe tablet IP. Chemist B is he is allowed to that is qualified to perform aceclofenac tablet, acetazolamide tablet, and chemist C, because he is a new guy around, he is allowed only to do paracetamol tablet IP because he is not qualified for other assays. Now, all the three chemists are actually B Pharms, but qualification here means to receive a separate training so that we can perform the assay more efficiently. So the more qualifications you got, the more different number of products you can handle. So now we can see, if in a 21 CFR Part 11 compliant system, how the computer systems they work. For example, our chemist C, he puts his login ID on the system that is attached to the HPLC and puts his login password. So here immediately the menu for chemist C comes in front. You can see that there are two paracetamol batches and one is a ezetimibe batch. So the two paracetamol batches, you can see that they are in color blue, whereas ezetimibe batch is in color black. It indicates that the chemist C, he can proceed with these two batches, that is paracetamol tablet batch 11234 and 11235. Why? Because he is qualified only for paracetamol tablets. So he selects the first batch. So again the menu says you have selected paracetamol tablet batch 11234, and then it asks the chemist C to confirm it. Now let us see on another system in the same lab, our chemist A has entered. Now he has entered his login ID and password. So as soon as he enters it, he can see all the three batches in blue first. So you can see that the first product is in green, whereas the other two products are in blue. Why? Because he can take up any one of these products for analysis. Now, why this ezetimibe batch is black here and blue here? Because our chemist A is qualified for this product, whereas our chemist C here, he was not qualified, so he was not given that option. But here you can see that the first batch, it has become green, paracetamol tablet batch 11234. Why? Because our chemist C has already taken up the work on this batch, so the system avoids the repetition of the same. Now chemist C, how does he proceed? As soon as he has selected the product, immediately the systems that tells him what solutions have to be prepared, how the sample has to be prepared. So after preparing everything, our chemist C, he clicks the done button. And after clicking the done button, the menu for chemist C will change, and then it will say loading method. So all the column, method, flow rate, particle size, everything is selected by the system. Why? Because it is preloaded. And then he has to simply click the start button. After he clicks the start button, immediately the system asks him to inject standard, then run, then inject sample and run. So the analysis will be completed, and after completion, the chromatograms will be visible. You can see to the left hand side bottom, the two chromatograms of standard and sample are visible now, and the peak area of standard is 1120, peak area sample is 1119, and assay is 99.9. So as soon as he clicks the calculate button, the assay is calculated. Now once the assay is calculated, the manager, how does he see the things? So here you can see the QC manager's login. He puts his login ID and login password. So immediately the menu, it shows all the three products linked for him. So you can see the details of all the three batches. You can see that this particular first batch is assigned to chemist C, second batch is assigned to chemist A, and the third batch is not assigned at all. Why? Because nobody has taken up. Now because our chemist C here, he has completed his work, immediately there is a view result link that is appearing in front of him. So our manager, he can immediately see that one batch assay is over and what are the results of this batch. Right? Now what happens if the assay is beyond specification, that is less than 95% or more than 105%? So in this case, you can see that you can see the menu for chemist C here, the peak area of standard, it has come 1120, and the peak area of sample is 1000. And assay, that's why the calculation is 89.28%. Now this is out of specification result. So immediately the screen will now change to the red line, that is paracetamol tablet batch number 11234, the red color indicates that the batch has failed in the assay, and immediately it says that OOS, that is out of specification report, is generated. And after generation, our chemist can see the out of specification report by clicking on view OOS and OK. And it also intimates the chemist that OOS copy has been sent to QC manager, QA manager, and production manager. So everybody the OOS copy goes, right? Because the assay has come down. So everybody should be in circuit right now. And how the QC manager, immediately a yellow alert comes for the QC manager, and it informs him that OOS has been generated. So immediately our QC manager knows. So the moment our analyst has clicked the calculate button, and if the assay is low, the second thing is, before he can see the OS, the QC manager can see the OS first. And both chemist or the QC manager, they cannot change the OS results. They can simply access the reports, but they cannot change it. So what happens is, this is called as automatic escalation system. Automatic escalation system means our chemist see he has generated the OS report. So the OS report immediately goes to his manager. Similarly, the OS report's copy also goes to the QA manager. One copy goes to the production manager, and one copy directly goes to the US FDA. So everybody is informed about the OS result. Now you have to solve the OS. US FDA has given us how to solve the OS. Different options are there, different inputs are there, but there is a system that has to be followed, right? So simply he cannot manipulate the result, or the manager cannot manipulate the result. The entire system has to take care whether the tablets were having less assay, or there was a mistake on the part of this chemist. We have to find out. But first of all, we have to know that the OS has been generated, and how you handle the OS is very important as far as US FDA inspections are concerned. First thing that they will ask once they come for inspection into any plant or any pharmaceutical company, that you bring your OS file to us. Let us understand how do you handle your OS results, because that tells a lot about the culture of this company. So this was, thank you. So this is part 1 completed. Part 2 we will continue.